Tara Omatosho with another informative interview with Inspired into Action. We have Charlotte Avery. She's going to tell us about her business and everything that she has going on with being Charlotte Avery. How are you doing, Charlotte?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great. Could you tell the listeners about your business and all the things that you are doing right now?
Sure. So my name is Charlotte E. Avery, and I am the CEO of Being Charlotte Avery and Mythicos Mommy LLC. I am an author, I am a speaker, and a family system strategist. And my goal and what I do in my business is I not only write and speak, but I help families to strategically build systems that will help them to function effectively and efficiently while leaving a lasting legacy.
Wow, that's great, Charlotte. So how did all this come about? What qualifies you to be a family system strategist?
Well, my friend, one thing that you do know about me is I am a wife and a mom of 7 incredible children, 12 and under. And no, none of them are twins, and they all are mine and all that jazz. So, and I've been married 14 years and I've been a mom for over a decade. So, and in my family, I create systems here. And so my family being so large, I create systems for big families and small families.
Yes, you are an expert. Charlotte is very knowledgeable about all things regarding motherhood and family and has a lot of wealth of knowledge. So I think that's a great niche for you.
Thank you.
So would you say that that's what inspired you is your family, or you were business minded before you had children? So
yes, I was business minded before I had children, but actually it's when I became a mom and wrote my first book that I wanted an avenue to publish my books because I didn't want to go to a publisher and lose profits and things like that. And so I decided to self-publish. So that's actually how and when I created Mythicos Mommy LLC, because I wanted to have a brand and my own publishing company in which to inspire moms to stay fabulous through motherhood, but also to publish books, write, and do other things.
So can you tell us a little bit about the whole self-publishing process and how that was for you?
It was certainly a learning experience. I learned a lot. One thing that I learned was to manage my level of expectation because you just never know what's going to happen. I mean, for me, because I did self-publish, I wrote my book. I found a graphic artist. I found a printing company. I did all these things, and then along with that, still trademarking my company, doing everything so that when my book actually launched, that it was ready to go. So, it was a very extensive process. And it definitely had its highs and lows. It was awesome to be an author and everything. Because, once you become an author and things like that, people see you as an expert in your field. So that's one thing that's really great. But, just having to rely on other people in areas that you don't have the necessary skills to do yourself, and just working on a time schedule and wanting things to be done at a certain time, and it just getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. So after so many pushbacks, I just learned to manage my level of expectation and say, okay, when it's done, it'll be done.
Yes, I hear you. That's sometimes what we have to do in family life as well, because there's a lot of expectations that we may have for our family and our kids, but not everybody is on board, and that's okay. It's as long as we get to the end destination, it's good.
That's right. That's right.
And that's how sometimes you have to think about in business, because we are women, we have other responsibilities, and we want to get our business up and running.
Absolutely.
But there are times when things don't happen the way we plan, and you have to be flexible.
Oh, yeah, you definitely do. You definitely have to be flexible because, when I was just getting ready to have my 5th child when I actually launched Mythicos and published my first book. And so, after I did that, and then I had another baby, like the work that I really thought that I was going to be able to do for that company, it really got tabled because instead of me growing my business, I was really more vested in growing my family.
Yes.
And so, that's when, Mythicos Mommy LLC got tabled. And then, now that it's been some years since I launched that company, and now I'm relaunching again, but under Being Charlotte Avery. And actually the way that came about is because, I had evolved from when I started that particular company, that, my family grew, my life experience grew, how I was developing strategies for my family grew. I was just growing as a businesswoman and things like that, and going out and researching and trying to become an expert in my field and things of that nature. And so as I was doing that and people were wondering what I was doing and all of that, I would tell people about one company, but people wanted to know, well, what about you? Like, how do you do what you do? How do you mother 7 kids? How do you have an excellent, marriage? How do you run a business? How do you potty train your kids? How do you keep your house clean? All these how-to questions. And what I realized is that people didn't really care about my company.
Yeah.
They really cared about me and how I did what I do, to be able to thrive and maintain everything. Some people call it balance. I call it blending, because there's nothing that I really do that doesn't incorporate everything and everybody.
Yes.
So it blends all in together, and, you just make it work. So that's actually how Being Charlotte Avery came about, which I'm really, really excited about that brand now, because, it's really about me and who I am. And I was nervous. I was so nervous to brand myself. I just wasn't certain that people would really receive that. But then, as people talk to me and they want to know like what I'm doing and how I'm doing what I do, it really is about being Charlotte Avery and how I do what I do for not only people within my household, but people outside my home too.
Yes, that's a very good point about the branding and seeing that process take place in you. I know you didn't mention earlier, but I do know this about you. Tell us a little bit about this Facebook group that you created.
Okay, so a few years ago, actually it's been like 2 years now, I think, I started a Facebook group called Tone of Voice, Tone Down. And the reason why I started that group is because I was having an issue and a struggle with my own tone of voice. I realized that, things were just getting a little bit chaotic in my house. And when that happened, I would just yell and get out of control or whatever. So, I went to my social media community and I told on myself. And I basically fessed up and said, this is my struggle. And I don't like this dirty little secret about myself. And so in order to help myself, I am making myself pretty much accountable to my Facebook community and, saying that, as of Monday, I'm going to start the Tone of Voice, Tone Down. Well, I only did that specifically for myself, not knowing that it would turn into a movement. And so what happened was at the point that I posted that, it had not been posted for 2 minutes before people came to me and said, Charlotte, I want to do this with you. This is my struggle. I have this issue and I want to stop yelling and all of this. And so I was just like, okay, I just thought I was just going to be on this journey by myself. Yeah. But my transparency with my own issue, it just, evolved into a movement. So to make a long story short, the Monday that I started it, I posted in my group and then somebody was like, well, can you make a private group? And can it be, will you post, a thought, will you post something every day? And so I did. So every morning in my group, I would get up and when everybody woke up in the morning, they would have something on in the group that had something to do with their tone of voice and, a thought of inspiration and things like that, just to keep them going. So that's just how it started. So the first time out, there were 83 people in the group. The second time out, there ended up being 153 people in the group, which I was just like, oh my gosh, so people were finding out about it and everything. And the community would have been larger had it not been on Facebook, because there were some people who wanted to participate in it, but they didn't want to join Facebook. So now it's just a whole nother movement, and it's evolving into something else, and it's being created into something else now, which, you know, soon I'll be able to like kind of spill the beans on that. But
I hope it's a book. It would be great to have a manual, but I know you have to keep that under wraps. But that would be really nice if it was a book, because like you said, there's a lot of people that struggle with this similar issue. And the way that you had it was a lot of scripture based, a lot of practical knowledge. It had a lot of information with the things that are actually going on with your house, which are some things that go on in other people's houses as well. They're just not talking about it. But we need to talk about it. It was good.
Absolutely. I think the thing that was so powerful for me about doing that group is that it showed me the power of transparency. It showed me the power of, you know, I'm not in this thing by myself, that this is not just my issue, and I'm not the only one going through this struggle. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the only one who's feeling some kind of way and flipping out every now and then, you know, and it showed me, that was the first thing that it showed me. And so it was just really, really inspiring. And I'm glad that I did it, because it helped me. It helped a lot of people. And, you know, I know that God was pleased, but it really did show me that, you know what, I could actually tell the truth. Like, you can tell the truth, and people need to know your truth, because when you tell your truth, then it empowers somebody else to be transparent and tell their truth.
Yes. Yeah, that's so true. So in regards to your business and the things that you have found out throughout the years, what are some challenges that you can think of, and how did you overcome those challenges, so people can learn from not your mistakes, but things that some pitfalls that you might have fell into?
So, you know, one of my biggest challenges was myself. And what I mean by that is there was a lack of confidence that I had in myself to think that, you know what, I mean, because I really wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I really wanted to grow a business, but I was uncertain. And so I was really kind of in my own way, and I needed to get out of my own way and know that, you know what, this business and this desire that God put in me, he wouldn't have given me something to do that I wouldn't be able to do without him. And so that, you know, that was one thing. The other thing was, you know, just, you know, along with not being sure of myself, but feeling capable, feeling, you know, am I really qualified to do this? And, you know, like you asked me, you know, well, what makes you qualified to do what you do? And, you know, the thing is that because my life has evolved, and because I've evolved as a person, I've evolved as a woman, I've evolved as a wife and a mom. I mean, first of all, let me just say, when you are a wife and a mom of 7, there are just a lot of things that you become sure about. Okay.
Whether you are or not, you put the sure face on. I am sure.
Yeah. And so, you know, so for me, you know, I just evolved, and I became sure. And to know that I know what I know, and I'm confident about what I know, and I have the expertise to know what I know. I have the experience to know what I know. And guess what? I have a PhD and PLE. Do you know what that is? Personal life experience.
I know, that's right.
So if I don't have a PhD in anything else, I might have a master's degree in something, but I have a PhD in a doctorate degree in PLE, and that is personal life experience.
I know, and that's an ongoing training. Ongoing.
Absolutely, you know,
and you never graduate from either. You never graduate from that either.
No, you don't. You never do.
Yeah.
You never do. So, you know, my thing is, you know, I became very clear about my purpose. Clarity is everything. And I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, when, you know, we have these great brainy ideas and we're like, oh, this would be so great. I want to do this. I want to grow my business or whatever. But what happens is you don't have sometimes you start out without having clarity, and you need to have that clarity. You need to know what you're doing. You need to know why you're doing it. And you need to be able to go out and get the knowledge to become an expert in what it is that you're doing. Yes. You know, so that was one thing. The other thing I had to tell you, though, that I had a challenge with is, you know, I had a challenge with investing in myself. And I think as women, and especially moms, because we are pulled in so many different directions with, if you're married, with your husband, with your children, with work and other things, you have to deal with so many other things in your world. And everybody else is pulling on you. And sometimes you forget to, have self-care and care for yourself, but to invest in yourself. And so, one thing that I started doing is I started going to trainings. I started going to seminars. I started paying for those things. And the reality of it is, it costs to invest in yourself. It costs time. It costs money. And you have to be able to say, it's okay for me to invest in me. It's okay for me to invest in me personally. It's okay for me to invest in myself emotionally and spiritually, financially, and all those things without any guilt, because I don't do mommy guilt.
Yeah.
So that was another thing. I struggled with that. And then, I just said, if my business is going to grow and if I'm going to grow, then I need to take the proper steps in investing in myself. And then, I did get a coach. I got a coach and I coached with somebody for a little over a year. And it just really helped me. First of all, it helped me take the first step in investing in myself, but it put me with other people who were experts in their field that could help me grow to get to where I am now, and then, take me beyond where I am.
Right. Yes, it is very important to invest in yourself, whether it is seminar, whether it is coaching sessions, just making sure you put yourself first. If that's what you want to do, you want to start your own business, you want to sell who you are. And a lot of times that takes time. That takes time to do. So, and also, like you said, as women, with us, probably some of us being single moms, some of these moms with husbands, someone to help out, oftentimes we think of ourselves last. And it's funny because before I was a mom, I was like, I'm never going to think of myself last. I'm always going to put myself first.
Right.
And that's exactly what you do. I mean, you pay for lessons for your kids to do this, you pay for all these things. And then you don't think about yourself like, well, maybe I need to, do something for me. Maybe I need to get my hair done, or maybe I need to, there's this women's conference that's going on that they're talking about, starting your own business. And that is my desire. So let me go out and do this. But you don't think about those things. You think about your family,
right?
And family needs first. And we really need to not sort of just turn that around, but make it sort of balanced where you're not lacking.
Right. Well, people say, if mama's happy, nobody's happy, happy wife, happy life. And you know what the reality of it is we joke about that. But you know what, when you're a mom, you are the lifeline and the hub of your home. And the thing is that you have to be able to take care of yourself and be okay with doing that first. Because if you don't put yourself first, then everything else is going to be a shambles. It's just going to fall to pieces. It really is, because you're going to be tired. You're going to be frustrated. And then your tiredness and frustration is going to, it's going to filter down to your children, to your husband, to people at work or whatever. And then you're going to be, you're going to be like me, a recovering yeller. You know what I mean? I tell people that all the time. My name is Charlotte E. Avery, and I'm a recovering yeller. And I tell people that, people laugh like you just did, when I say that. But I tell people that all the time, because I need people to understand that I am an author, I am a speaker, I am a family systems strategist, but I am a flawed person. I don't have it all together, and I don't want people to think that I do. I'm an expert in my area, but I do have this particular thing that I'm working on, because we're always working on something. Always. And I'm very comfortable in that, in that space.
Yeah, you should always have something. We're perfect through Christ, but we're not perfect.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. In regards to entrepreneurship, what are some skills that you think that entrepreneurs need in this day and age of social media and everything that's going on, how that has changed entrepreneurship? What do you think some skills that people need to have?
Well, one skill that you need to have is courage. And I'm not even talking about just like technical things right now. I'm just talking about personal things. You need to have courage, because you can't go out here and be an entrepreneur and say, I'm going to start a business and be afraid. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? You can't do that, because if you do that, you're going to get eaten up. The reality of it is, statistics show that 90% of entrepreneurs fail. you know, because they are afraid, or because they're not confident. They're not confident in doing what they're doing. They haven't gotten the education that they need. They're not believable or what have you. And you have to be confident. You have to know that you know what you know. Yeah. You have to be able to present yourself in a way that people believe you, and that you know, and that they know that you know what you know. That's one thing. The other thing is, in having confidence, you need to understand that validation and support are not the same thing. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I tell people that all the time, because one thing that I used to do is I used to tell people an idea that I had, and I would wait for them to validate that idea. Mm-hmm. But, you know, when you're an entrepreneur, you don't need validation. You need support, because right. God's already given you what he wanted you to do in your business. You know, right. God already told me I was going to be an author. I was going to be a speaker. I was going to be doing things that involve families. And clearly I was going to be doing things that involve families, because look how big my family is. You know, I just can't like excommunicate my family. Right. But, you know, but the thing is that God gave me a vision. That vision didn't just come from me, come from me. And he's equipping me to do what it is that he's called me to do. But I don't need somebody else to validate what God has called me to do. Right. I may need their support. Right. I may need their support financially. And yeah. So here's another thing. As moms and as women, especially if you're married, mm-hmm. you know, a lot of times, you know, we wait for our husbands to validate, you know, us or whatever. And I kind of caught myself in that area. And I was talking to my husband one day, because I always felt like I was asking, well, can I do this? And can I do that? And blah, blah, blah. Or what do you think about this idea or that idea? And what I realized is that I didn't need my husband to validate the call of my life. I didn't need him to validate my business and the fact that I'm an entrepreneur and a business owner. What I needed, because he is the financial breadwinner outside of our home right now, is I needed the financial support mm-hmm. to be able to do what it is that I've been called to do. I needed the emotional support, but emotional support is not validation. You have to know in yourself that this is your business and this is what you've been called to do, and make that baby run and make it be a well-oiled machine, because you are responsible for your business, not somebody else. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think with the first comment you said about having courage, you also need to have perseverance, because it doesn't yes. happen overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. Oh, yes. I think that's another reason why a lot of entrepreneurs fail, is because they start something up, they think it's going to be an overnight success, and it is successful, but it may not be overnight. You have to spend time with it. I've been doing a lot of research myself and seeing people doing things, and the pitfalls that a lot of the experts say is that people are not consistent. They don't stick with it long enough. That's right. Try one thing and doesn't work out, then you move to the next thing, then you move to the next thing, where you need to just stick with it. Have you found that to be true? Yes, I have. I have found that to be true, because if you're not tenacious, mm-hmm. if you don't have perseverance, if you're not consistent, then why are you running a business? Yeah. You know, I mean, it's so funny, because the other day I was up working late at night. And my daughter, when I woke up in the morning, she said, Mommy, you look really tired. Were you working last night? And I said, yes, I was. I was up working, you know, on a manuscript, you know, to get to my, you know, my product developer and things like that. And she said, well, Mommy, like you said, you know, like you tell me and Lim, you know, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yes, Abigail, yes, you know, because you know, and I was like, you know what? And that gave me a little bit of pep in my step, because, you know, not only because she remembered something that was a crucial lesson that we taught them, mm-hmm. but, you know, I mean, it didn't just apply to what I'm telling my kids, it applies to me too. Yeah. And it let me know that, you know what, my hard work is paying off, and it's going to pay off if I just continue to work hard and be consistent and persevere, and, you know, and just really work in the gift in the business that God has given me. Yeah, that's good. So if someone wanted to take action and they feel that they have a business and they want to take action right away, what are some steps that you can
share with them on things to get started, like today?
So first of all, know what it is that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Get education, get a coach, get a mentor, but don't just go get any coach, and don't just rely on a coach that somebody said, oh, that's a really good coach or whatever. You want to get somebody who can actually strengthen you and help support you to go and thrive to where you're trying to go. It doesn't make sense to have a coach that, you know, is so great in coaching in, you know, making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and yet here I'm trying to, you know, be the best family system strategist in the world. Why am I talking to the best peanut butter and jelly maker? You know what I'm saying? I need to deal with people who are in the area of family, in areas of marriage, in areas of children, and see exactly what they're doing and how they're growing their businesses, and are their businesses thriving? Because, you know, I can tell you all day, well, this is what I do, you know, but how can I help you and say that, you know, I mean, how can I help you if my business isn't thriving myself? I mean, what record do they have that speaks for them? So don't just go out and find some, you know, coach and be like, oh, they have a great name or whatever. If that coach is not doing what it is that, you know, in that niche or whatever, then you need to find somebody that is, so that you can become an expert in your field, and you need to align yourself with other experts. Yes. You know, so that's one thing. And education never stops. And read. You know, I'm really big on audiobooks and things like that because I don't always have the time to read. But even though I listen to audiobooks, it's just something about picking up a book and flipping through the pages. And you don't have to read the whole book. I mean, books have outlines and things like that. I mean, you can pick, choose, and refuse which part of the book you want to read at that particular time that's going to support you.
Yeah, that's good.
Read. Educate yourself and find a community that's going to support you and in your endeavor and what you're doing.
So you talked about reading. Are there any books that you would recommend to the listeners that they should do, that they should read or listen to?
Yeah, yes. So one book that I love is a book called Change the Way You See Everything. And it's like upstairs in my room right now. I don't remember the author right now, but it's one of my favorite books because it really helps you to really change your perspective and not be so pessimistic, and, you know, just kind of be like, oh, I can run on and see what the end's going to be. Like, you know, it's not the end of the world. So I love that book. Another book that I read and I listen to, because you can just pull it up on YouTube too, but I listen to Think and Grow Rich. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I really like the principles in that book. But there's a guy that I listen to on YouTube also. His name is Earl Nightingale. And Earl Nightingale, he's got this really deep kind of voice or whatever. But I love him because he really is a fan of Napoleon Hill. But he has his own things that he does, and he's just so inspiring, and he just helps you to stay focused about what success means. And, you know, it's not just about the dollar bill, you know, it's about everything. It's about, you know, it's about God, it's about family, it's about everything, you know. And so I just love that approach in which he talks and speaks about too. But there's another person that I really like. I love their quotes. Jim Rohn. Mm-hmm. I really like Jim Rohn. Like, you can look him up. You can just Google his name or whatever, and he has like all kinds of amazing quotes on there, you know. And I go there sometimes, and because it just helps me to keep my perspective about what I'm doing, you know, not only as a business owner, but as a wife and as a mom, and, you know, things of that nature. So yeah.
That's very good information. So if the listeners of this show want to get in contact with you or find out more information about you, how would they do that?
Well, they can reach me on Facebook at Being Charlotte Avery. They can connect with me on Twitter at Being Charlotte A. They can connect with me on Instagram at Being Charlotte Avery, and they can go to my website at beingcharlotteavery.com, and actually that will come. They can sign up on my mailing list. They can order my book, No One Ever Told Me, Witty, Practical, and Spiritual Truths About Motherhood. And they can just become a part of my community and my world and see what I have going on, because I would love to support them.
Great. Thank you so much for taking the time out to talk with me about all the things that you have going on and to share the information about your upcoming website and your upcoming services. Will you have events and things like that? Will you be speaking if they want to see you on your website?
Yes, so all of the events that I'm going to be doing will be on my website, and my upcoming product that I'm going to be releasing will be on that website too. So yes, just go and frequent beingcharlotteavery.com sometimes, and see on my webpage, because I'm always like kind of bragging, like, well, not bragging, but what kind of bragging, because I'm always like, oh, I just can't wait, just a few more weeks, got this going on, just stay tuned or whatever. So. But yeah, and then I also do post about my crazy life and the foolishness that goes on in my house, so that people know that I am actually a normal person. So yeah.
I hear you. I hear you. Well, it's great. It was great talking to you. Thank you for sharing all the wealth of knowledge that you had shared with us. And I look forward to seeing your website and hearing more from you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you.
All right. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.